Hi everyone, Mike Stuchiner, Master Herbalist here with Z Natural Foods. And today's video is going to be our top 3 most frequently asked questions about our whey protein powders. So, before we get started, a couple of quick bits of information. Number 1, for more information about me, you can go to znaturalfoods.com and read the many articles and videos I produced for the company. And number 2 is our health disclaimer. The information you're about to receive is for educational purposes only, is not intended to treat, prescribe, or diagnose any specific or general medical condition, and is not intended to be a replacement for your primary healthcare provider's medical information, diagnosis, or treatment protocol. With that said, let's get started. So, I'm going to basically answer what Z Natural Foods considers to be its top 3 most frequently asked questions about our whey protein powders, which we create several of them in several different flavors and varieties. Okay, so. One of the more popular topics we're actually asked about is to discuss the various aspects of all of our protein powders and compare the different protein powder sources we sell at Z Natural Foods. But I just want to make this very clear so people understand that we are extremely well aware that some individuals do not respond well to any form of whey protein due to potential allergies and sensitivities. Therefore, the answers to the questions that I'm about to answer for you, I am speaking in general terms, and we do not ever encourage those with known sensitivities or allergies to consume these foods. So, question number 1. Is whey protein good for you? Okay, so in order to answer this question correctly, it's essential to first look at how we define what is good for us and its relationship to specific foods that may affect our overall health. In this case, what is good for us is defined as something of higher versatility and nourishing qualities. So we must look at the nourishing qualities in the various forms of whey protein and their specific effects when accurately defining their nourishing attributes in this specific context of this question. Okay? Every culture defines how and why an individual food is considered healthy based on various factors. According to Western medicine, a healthy food is a substance that provides the nourishment needed to sustain well-being and retain energy. In traditional Chinese medicine, they look at food in a slightly different perspective. TCM looks at food and does not define it as healthy or unhealthy, but instead, if it's the right food for an individual at a specific time. According to TCM, all foods have energy. And TCM teaches us that foods have yin and yang energy, 5 temperatures, 5 flavors, and 4 directions. In these principles, yin and yang's actions is the general property, and the temperature is the extremeness of the properties. So in simple terms, yin is cooling, builds blood, and has a downward moving energy. Yang is warming, energizing, and has an upward moving energy. In the case of protein powders in general, there are other factors that must be considered when attempting to conclude if it is suitable for us as individuals. The first is complete versus incomplete proteins. A food by definition is considered a complete protein when it contains all 9 essential amino acids. Proteins are not stored for later use. The body converts excess protein into glucose and triglycerides to support energy and build energy reserves. When we eat a protein source, The body breaks it down into amino acids to create muscle protein, along with a host of other proteins in your body for what are known as enzymatic reactions. The 9 essential amino acids also act as regulatory signaling molecules. However, a food can be considered an incomplete protein if one or more of the essential amino acids are insufficient, even if all 9 essential amino acids are present. But it's important to understand insufficient in this specific case is defined through what is known as the amino acid score. The amino acid score is calculated by dividing the content of individual essential amino acids in food protein by the content of the same amino acids in what is known as the reference pattern. In the end, the truth is, all the body is concerned about is having all 9 essential amino acids when specifically creating muscle protein and enzyme proteins. The overall result is the same whether the protein comes from a single source of a complete protein like egg and whey, or a combined source to create a protein powder like most plant proteins. To be clear, this is not to say that other factors don't affect the value and utilization of different protein sources. The next factor is protein powders, looking at concentrate versus isolates. Comparing a protein isolate and concentrate comes down to what you gain versus what you lose. Protein powder concentrates are considered the closest end product for what nature intended to provide us as a high quality source of protein with all the cofactors and constituents available for a balanced and complete source of nourishment. The term concentrate can actually be a little bit misleading because it implies that the consumer is getting a quantitatively more significant amount of protein. This is simply not the case. You are getting a more well-rounded end product with a greater spectrum of uses that may benefit overall well-being. Protein isolates are a more refined product and yield a higher amount of protein with the goal of specific targeted actions and applications. So, whey protein isolate is a complete protein yielding approximately 90% protein concentrate. It contains little to no fat and no carbohydrates. It is high in branched chain amino acids, especially leucine, and is considered undenatured. However, if the raw material company uses the filtration process, it uses heat components, it may actually denature the protein. So that's an important little tidbit that you have to look into regarding what the company you may be using their whey protein. Because components like beta lactoglobulins, alpha lactobumin, immunoglobulins, and lactoferrin are proteins by definition, contrary to popular opinion, whey isolate does in fact contain these critical cofactors. Whey isolate may also contain tiny amounts of lactose. Whey protein concentrate, a complete protein yielding 80% concentrate. Approximately 3 grams of carbs and 2 grams of fat per serving. Whey protein concentrate has many components like the ones just mentioned: beta lactoglobulins, alpha lactobumin, immunoglobulins, and lactoferrin. It is a quality source of branched chain amino acids. It is undenatured, and whey protein concentrate does contain some lactose. Therefore, the difference between whey protein isolate and concentrate comes down to how much protein, fats, and carbs you're getting from the product, and the intrinsic details about the conditions under which the product is produced to create the end product. And of course, the specific individual's goals, whether they will want to use a whey protein concentrate or a whey protein isolate. Finally, is discussing denatured versus undenatured protein. Denatured protein is the alteration in the folding pattern of a protein by heat or chemical reaction from its original formation. Protein function depends on its structural shape, and heat causes proteins to vibrate and weaken that bond that hold that complex shape. When a protein has become denatured, it is no longer considered functional in the same elaborate manner. Undernatured proteins are pure, properly functioning proteins without structural deformation, with all bioavailable nutrients and constituents available. Undenatured protein has many components, such as the one mentioned above, and the acquirement of getting these important constituents makes the undenatured form of protein generally a much better choice for all intended purposes. A protein that has become denatured through cooking with heat or some other process is not necessarily bad, because we eat these proteins all the time. An example is a hard-boiled egg, which is considered and regarded as a form of denatured protein because the heat used to make the hard-boiled egg changes its structural integrity. But it still has an excellent nutritional value and all the amino acids to create a complete protein. It's also important to note that we mustn't use the term unprocessed to define an undenatured protein, because everything goes through some processing to create an end product. For example, whey protein isolate undergoes a precise filtration process that removes around 99% of the lactose and produces an end product yielding higher amounts of protein per serving with less fat and carbohydrates. Because no chemicals and heat were used in this process, the protein bonds were not weakened. So whey protein isolate, as mentioned above, is still considered an undenatured protein. So in essence, when you take all the factors that I mentioned above, a quality whey protein powder in its proper form, in general, is good for you and provides unique nourishing qualities and versatility to ensure you get nourishing compounds and sufficient protein in your diet. Question number 2, does protein powder make you gain or lose weight? Well, some critical points about weight gain and weight loss must be made in order to answer this question correctly. There are many unique macronutrient-based diet plans on the market that have shown temporary weight loss. Ketogenic is one good example. The quality of your food does matter. Low quality, high processed food and ingredients may create an unhealthy inflammatory response within your body and will almost assuredly affect your overall weight loss or weight gain results. Weight gain and weight loss are a matter of calorie input versus an individual's activity level and ability to burn those calories. So, in the most simplistic form, eating less than what you burn will result in weight loss. Eating more than what you burn will result in weight gain. But if not done correctly, it does come at a cost to your overall well-being. Your macronutrients, protein, fats, and carbohydrate ratio can strongly influence your ability to make a substantial change in your body's composition, whether we're talking about gaining muscle and losing body fat. Understand that not all weight gain or weight loss is the same. Gaining 10 pounds of fat versus muscle can negatively affect your overall well-being. And if you lose 10 pounds of weight and 7 pounds is muscle, are you really better off in the end? The answer to that is a very 100% clear no. You are not better off. So the simple answer to the question of does protein powder make you gain or lose weight is that protein powders as individual entities, when used properly, do not make you gain fat. They help you build and sustain quality muscle. The outside source of quality and quantity of fats and carbohydrates you add to a protein powder will profoundly affect whether you lose or gain weight and how your body composition changes. The third and final question in our most frequently asked question about our whey protein is, how much protein powder should be consumed daily? The amount one should consume of protein powder daily depends on quite a few different factors. First, understanding that a high quality food source of protein like meat, eggs, fish, and high quality dairy take priority over supplemental powders. Next, it's vital to understand that your protein requirements based on your age and activity level. It seems to be well accepted across the board that for those who are inactive and don't incorporate resistance training into their lifestyle, around 0.5 gram of protein per pound of body weight is a sufficient amount of protein. For active people who incorporate resistance training 3 to 5 times a week, around 1 gram per pound of body weight is a reasonable goal. If you are a high level or competitive athlete, there is a possibility that your needs may be higher. Correctly answering this question of how much protein powder should be consumed daily has to do with your food choices and habits. Once you figure out your total daily grams, dividing that by 4 or 5, depending on how many meals you eat a day, is essential. While it's not suggested that you use a protein powder as a primary source of protein for every meal, adding them in during specific times of the day may support your overall wellness goals. One of the purposes of using protein powders is faster and easier digestion and utilization. Therefore, timing your consumption for optimal recovery is and should be the primary goal. So for those who are inactive or have a low level of activity, 1 serving of whey concentrate before bed to support recovery when you sleep is probably going to be a pretty good choice for you. This form of whey protein will act slower, let's call it a more time release effect, to nourish your body throughout the evening. Because you are getting so many essential nutrients and compounds, high quality protein, and a good source of fat, whey protein concentrate is ideal for supporting a healthy immune system response and recovery. But remember, whey is more than just a good source of protein because it is rich in all these nutrients and vital compounds. If you are someone who is more active, then using 1 serving of whey isolate post-workout and 1 serving of whey concentrate at night would be probably a more appropriate way of going about incorporating protein powders into your daily diet. In conclusion, there is no perfect answer to the above questions because many factors play a role in the quality of the protein and how the product is best utilized based on your individual needs. With that said, we have provided you today with thorough information regarding all the various factors that do play a role in protein powder consumption so you can obtain optimal results based on your individual needs. So I hope this was a educational video for you guys and you got a lot out of it. And most importantly, it answered your questions. With that said, this is Mike Stuccino, Master Herbalist with Z Natural Foods. I'll see you next time.